The rain tapped softly against the classroom windows as 16-year-old Aisha stared at the paper lying on her desk. Red marks covered nearly every page. At the top, written in bold ink, was a number she had seen too many times before. 32 out of 100. Failed. Her hands trembled as she folded the paper and slipped it into her bag. Around her, classmates laughed and compared their scores. Some celebrated their high marks, while others complained about losing a few points. Aisha stayed silent. She had failed again. It wasn't the first time. It wasn't the second. In fact, she had failed so many exams that she had stopped counting. As she walked home through the narrow streets of her neighborhood, her mind replayed the same painful thoughts. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I should stop trying. Maybe success is for other people. When she reached home, she found her mother sewing clothes near the window. "How was your exam?" her mother asked gently. Aisha forced a smile. "It was okay, but mothers always know." Her mother looked into her eyes and understood immediately. "You failed again, didn't you?" Aisha nodded. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I study so hard, Mama. I really do. But no matter what I do, I fail. Everyone else keeps moving forward while I'm stuck in the same place." Her mother put aside her sewing and held her daughter's hands. "Failing an exam doesn't mean you failed in life." "It feels like it," Aisha whispered. Her mother smiled. "When a child learns to walk, do they succeed on the first attempt?" "No, they fall many times before taking a single step." "Failure isn't proof that you can't do it. It's proof that you're learning." Aisha wanted to believe her, but disappointment felt heavier than hope. The following months were difficult. Another mathematics test. Failed. Another science test. Failed. Another practice exam. Failed again. Every failure felt like a stone added to the backpack she carried through life. Classmates began labeling her. "She's the girl who always fails." Some students laughed when teachers returned graded papers. Others avoided working with her during group projects. Their words hurt. But what hurt even more was beginning to believe them. One evening, after receiving another failing grade, Aisha climbed onto the roof of her small house. The city lights flickered in the distance. She stared at the sky and wondered if she should simply give up. Maybe school wasn't meant for her. Maybe she should quit trying to achieve impossible dreams. As she sat there, her grandfather slowly climbed the stairs carrying 2 cups of tea. He sat beside her. "Thinking about quitting?" he asked. Aisha looked surprised. "How did you know?" "Because I've worn that same expression myself." She laughed softly. "You?" Her grandfather pointed toward the stars. "When I was young, I wanted to become a carpenter. The first table I built collapsed before anyone could use it." Aisha smiled. "The second was worse." "What about the third?" "Terrible." They both laughed. "How many times did you fail?" she asked. "More times than I can remember." "Then why didn't you quit?" Her grandfather took a sip of tea. "Because every failure taught me something the previous one couldn't." He turned toward her. "People think successful people never fail. Successful people simply refuse to stop after failing." Those words stayed in Aisha's mind long after the conversation ended. The next morning she made a decision. She wouldn't quit, but she would change her approach. Instead of studying for hours without understanding anything, she began identifying her weaknesses. She realized she struggled most with mathematics. So she started from the basics. While classmates solved advanced problems, Aisha practiced simple ones. She filled notebook after notebook with calculations, mistake after mistake, correction after correction. Slowly, things began making sense. Not quickly, not dramatically, but steadily. Every evening she studied for 1 extra hour. Every weekend she reviewed old mistakes. Whenever she didn't understand a topic, she asked questions. At first she felt embarrassed. Some students laughed. "Look who's finally trying." But she ignored them. For the first time, she wasn't studying to avoid failure. She was studying to improve. Weeks turned into months. One day, The mathematics teacher returned a surprise quiz. Aisha's heart pounded as she looked at her score. 58 out of 100. Still not excellent. Still not among the top students. She had passed. A huge smile spread across her face. It wasn't a perfect score, but it was proof. Proof that progress was possible. Proof that effort mattered. Proof that she wasn't trapped forever. That evening she ran home holding the paper tightly. "Mama," she shouted. Her mother looked up. Aisha handed her the quiz.
Her mother examined the score and smiled proudly.
Then another. Days passed in a blur of stress and determination. When the final exam ended, students poured out of classrooms feeling relieved. Now all they could do was wait. The waiting felt endless. Every day seemed longer than the last. Finally, results day arrived. The school courtyard buzzed with excitement. Students crowded around the notice board. Some smiled. Others worried. Aisha's heart raced as she pushed through the crowd. Her eyes searched for her name. For a moment, she couldn't find it. Then suddenly she saw it. There it was. Aisha Khan. Passed. Not only passed. She had achieved one of the highest improvements in the entire grade. For several seconds, she simply stared. Unable to move. Unable to speak. Unable to believe it. Then tears filled her eyes. Not tears of sadness. Tears of victory. Years of failure. Years of doubt. Years of embarrassment. Years of struggle. All had led to this moment. Her teachers congratulated her. Classmates who once mocked her stared in surprise. Some even asked how she had improved so much. Aisha smiled. There wasn't a secret. Then what did you do? I kept going. That evening her family celebrated together. Her mother cooked her favorite meal. Her grandfather smiled proudly. Neighbors visited to congratulate her. For the first time in a long while, Aisha felt proud of herself. Not because she had become the smartest student. Not because she had earned perfect scores. But because she had refused to surrender. Years later, Aisha graduated from university and became a successful engineer. At conferences and schools, people often invited her to speak about success. Many expected her to tell stories about natural talent and easy achievements. She always talked about failure. She told audiences about failed tests, failed quizzes, failed expectations, failed confidence. Then she shared the lesson she learned. Failure is not the opposite of success, she would say. It is often the road that leads to success. One afternoon, after giving a speech at a school, a young girl approached her. Tears filled the girl's eyes. I keep failing my exams, she said quietly. I don't think I'll ever succeed. Aisha smiled because she recognized the pain in those words. It was the same pain she had once felt. She placed a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. Do you know how many exams I failed when I was your age? The girl shook her head. More than I can remember. The girl's eyes widened. Really? Really? Then how did you become successful? Aisha smiled. Because I learned something important. What? Aisha looked at her and replied, Your future is not decided by how many times you fail. It's decided by how many times you stand up after falling. The girl smiled through her tears. And in that moment, Aisha knew her journey had been worth every struggle. Because the girl who once failed every exam had finally discovered the truth. Success doesn't belong to the people who never fail. Success belongs to the people who never give up.